If you're spending lots of money and going up the Jungfraujoch, then you don't want to make any big mistakes. It's one of the best trips you can make in Switzerland, and we definitely don't want you ruining your day by making these common tourist mistakes. I have a lot of different clients and I have a big Facebook group and a big Facebook page, and I see a lot of people talking about the Jungfraujoch and all the different things they could have done better, and maybe if only they had have known, they wouldn't have gone up at such a time or done such a thing. So in this video I want to jump into 7 different ways you can avoid mistakes when going up the Jungfraujoch. The first one I want to start with is making sure the weather is good before you buy your ticket and before you head up. Now, depending on how flexible you are with your trip, of course, you may not have the choice, you may have to go up on the day, but before you spend that $200 on the ticket, check the webcams on jungfrau.ch. They have a webcam page, I think it's on the top of the menu, and there you can see exactly what the weather is like on the top. Now you have to remember Jungfraujoch is extremely high, so down in the valley it might be okay, but up on the Jungfraujoch it can be completely different. Of course, if it's blue skies, then silly question, it's going to be great up there, but if you're not sure if it's cloudy or it looks like it might be cloudy, then have a look on the webcam and see what it is like up the top. And likewise, if you're booking the day before, have a look on some weather apps like SRF or Swiss Meteo and make sure that the weather's going to be good, or at least pretty good, for the day you're going up, because you're going to waste a lot of money. And the next thing we want to look at, and I'm just jumping onto my list here, is make sure you go up as early as possible. It gets extremely busy in summer, and the later you go up, the more people that are out of bed have had their breakfast and have made their way to the Jungfraujoch, and people coming from further afield, of course, will arrive a bit later. So the earlier you can go, the better time you're going to have. There's going to be less people on the train, so you can get to different sides and get the best pictures. And at the top, you're going to have less crowds on all the really cool stuff, the viewing platform, and also just moving around is going to be a lot easier. So get up as early as you can, of course. Of course, we all want to sleep in, so I'm not going to tell you to get up at 6 o'clock, but the earlier you go, the better. Now, another thing you want to make sure you have with you is a few different layers of clothes. Depending on what time of year you go, it can be extremely cold up there. And even if it's summer, the clouds come over and it gets windy, you're at a really high altitude and the weather can get really cold. When I go into the mountains, I make sure I bring some kind of sweater and some kind of jacket to go over top. And if you're in between seasons or in shoulder seasons, then maybe bring a hat or a beanie or something warm, some gloves, because you're really on the top of a huge mountain up there and it can get really freezing, and likewise it can get really sunny up there. And because there's a lot of snow, you get a lot of glare, so make sure you also can take everything off and have a t-shirt, and make sure you bring a hat as well. And also don't forget to bring some sunscreen, because the glare as well bounces off the snow and you can get some insane sunburn up there. And a lot of people get really surprised by when you're in the mountains, not only is it cold, but you can get burnt. And on top of that, with every 100 meters of altitude that you go up, the protection that you get from the sun is a lot less. So be really careful with that. Make sure you wear a strong 30 or 50 sunscreen, cover every bit of skin that's exposed with sunscreen lotion, and make sure you don't get burnt, because you're going to have a horrible time if you do. I don't want to see you red and suffering the next day. And the next thing we want to watch out for is making sure we're aware that we're at altitude, and you can get altitude sickness, or at the very least a little bit out of breath. Of course, it's not Mount Everest, you're not there in the highest place in the world, but it can be an issue for some people. So if you're susceptible to it, you might want to buy a little bit of oxygen, which you can buy ahead of time in some Swiss sports stores like Sportex. Have a look out for that. But otherwise, just take it easy on the stairs and just make sure you walk a little bit slowly and drink a lot, especially at altitude. That's always an issue. And just pay attention if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling particularly ill. And I've been there in Peru and it's absolutely horrible. Then you need to go down as quickly as possible if you're feeling really bad. Now, the Jungfraujoch can cost a fortune, and it's probably one of the most expensive things you're going to do when you're in Switzerland. Throw those dollars out the window. But there's a few ways you can save money on the Jungfraujoch, and I just want to make sure you're aware of them and that you're not actually paying the top price when you don't have to be. Now, if you've got passes like the Swiss Travel Pass or the Half Fare Pass, then you do get a discount on various parts of the fare. So make sure when you're booking the ticket or buying it on the machine or at the window, that you make sure you tell them you have the pass and you apply the pass so that you're getting those discounts and you're not paying the absolute maximum. Sometimes it can be 30–40% that you get off, and it's really worth making sure you do that. And it's the same if you have the Berner Oberland Pass or the Jungfrau Pass. You don't get up there for free, but you do get a really cheap price. So make sure you apply those discounts. And the other thing is there's an early morning ticket. The first 3 trains up are discounted quite significantly. So if you don't have any passes and you still want to save money, then get up early and get on one of those first 3 trains. And there's a special place on their website, and I'll put a link down below for that, where you can actually jump on and book those first 3 tickets and save quite a lot of money as well. So don't pay full price if you don't have to, of course. Who wants to do that? Now, another hot tip I have for you is not just going up the same way and coming back down again. It might seem like the most obvious, and the Jungfrau website might push that on you, but actually one of the mistakes you're going to make is not actually coming down in a round trip fashion. You can actually go up on either the gondola from Grindelwald Terminal, which is called the Eiger Express. What you want to make sure of is that you go up with the gondola and down with the train to Lauterbrunnen, or vice versa. So you're basically doing a big loop and covering both Grindelwald and Lauterbrunnen, and it costs you exactly the same amount of money, but you get some epic views on both sides in different valleys, because Lauterbrunnen is completely different to Grindelwald. The views are amazing and you pay the same price. So why wouldn't you do it, right? And then on top of that, you could also do a round trip and then stop off in either of those towns and do the later half of the day up somewhere like Grindelwald first, or maybe spend it in Lauterbrunnen at the waterfalls. So you can do a combo and make sure you pack in as much as you can in one day while you're going to the Jungfraujoch, because it should only take you about 4 or 5 hours in total. So you do have more time left at the end of the day to do some other stuff. And if you're on a tight schedule, you can use that opportunity to maybe come down to Lauterbrunnen on the way down, which is what I recommend a lot of people do. Go to the Staubach Falls, go to the Trümmelbach Falls, some of the most amazing things you'll see in Lauterbrunnen, and make sure you take advantage of both views and don't just go the way the Jungfraujoch tells you to go. So if you've liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. It helps the channel amazingly. And if you like the video you've seen, be sure to subscribe down below. I've got lots of other great Swiss content, stuff on trains and different cities, and more tips for you to enjoy your trip in Switzerland.